Morning, folks. How's it going? Happy Mandolin mornings this Saturday. Thanks so much for tuning in. And yeah, it's been a good morning for us so far. We actually got up early and went for a hike today over in the Clemson Experimental Forest. I don't even know why they call it experimental. I don't know what experiments they're doing out there, but that's been a fun spot for us since we've been here back in the States for the past few months. This is where I grew up, in Clemson, South Carolina, actually. And shout out to any South Carolinians out there. Thanks to all you folks for tuning in. It's so cool to hear from where you guys are from as well. But yeah, here in Clemson, there's a really beautiful spot out in the woods that we've been taking our dog Finn to, and we just let him run off leash out there. He loves it. He goes wild. But we ran into a biker out there who said he saw a mountain lion earlier that morning, like a really big mountain lion. I've never seen one in person, but I didn't even realize that they're around here. But it's got me thinking I probably should write a tune about like a near mountain lion encounter. Thankfully, we didn't get anywhere near him. We didn't see him anywhere. But yeah, it got me thinking about just mandolin tune names in general. Do you guys have any ideas for mandolin tune names? I'm always like trying to collect interesting titles that might suit a mandolin instrumental at some point. I feel like naming a mandolin tune might be one of the hardest things about actually writing the tune, because you write it and you're like, okay, now I have to figure out what this is about. I'm not one of those people who usually sits down with a story behind a tune, but this mountain lion thing, it might have some promise here. So let me know if you guys think of any good tune names. There's some weird ones. We were just talking about in the chat here. We're playing some tracks off of a record I did a couple years ago there at the beginning of the stream here. It's from a record of mine called The Golden Angle that I did back in like 2017, 2018. And it was a really fun project. Got to work with some of my favorite musicians. Was really honored to track with folks like Wes Corbett on banjo and Stuart Duncan on fiddle and David Greer on guitar, Missy Raines. I used to play with Missy in her band. She was playing bass, which was awesome, and a bunch of other folks too. But yeah, there's some weird ones on there. Some of them I only named after we even recorded them. I would just call it like, this is, instrumental number 5 in the key of D or something like that, But one of the weirdest ones is a tune called 8 is My Favorite Color. And I get a lot of questions about that one because that's so random and so weird. It's actually not a phrase that I came up with. I owe that to our bass player, Nate, in the band Mile 12 that I play in. He is just one of the most creative people I know in my entire life. And yeah, he just comes up with these kind of one-liner quips and just absolute nonsense. And he said that one day, and I was like, I'm stealing that, man. That's gonna be a tune name. And that wacky tune just seemed like a really good fit for that weird title. Let's see, what other names do you guys got here? Let's see, Felix the Cat. I like that one, Mr. Cough Drop. That's awesome. Thanks for that suggestion there. Let me know if you guys have any other suggestions for tune names. Sometimes we talk about that in Mile 12 as well. Like one that our guitar player Evan throws around is like, we should write a tune called The Turquoise Englishman. I don't know why. It's just like, just put two words together and see what happens, and that's a good tune name. There's some weird ones out there, some pretty morbid ones, like in the Celtic tradition too. I was trying to think of one that I read recently. It was like, oh yeah, it's really, really sad. It's like bury my wife and dance on her grave or something like that. It's terrible. And there's all the tunes about whiskey and stuff like that too, right? A lot of kind of suggestive themes, I guess. I like kind of the more positive ones, honestly. Cat on the Trail, I like that. Wild in the Woods. Awesome. Well, we're going to be playing a lot of tunes today, and I thought maybe we could start off just by playing through a tune here together. Have you guys gotten a chance to see the I Am a Pilgrim lesson that I posted earlier this week? If not, we're gonna try it out today. You guys probably know that song. It's a great tune by I think they attribute it to Merle Travis, but it might be even older than his stuff. But it's been recorded on everything from like the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, Will the Circle Be Unbroken, or who else has done that one? Like tons of like fingerstyle guitar players. On the mandolin, you hear folks like David Grisman play that one a lot. John Reichman and Sharon Gilchrist play that one a lot. It's just kind of like a slow jam favorite, so it's fun to get to slow things down and think of ways of spicing up a really simple melody. So why don't we try this out? I'll come over to tune time. Nice. All right. So this is just a very simple version of the melody that we started out with in that lesson. If you haven't seen it already, check it out over on the YouTube channel. There's a whole playlist on like how to play songs in the bluegrass tradition. I think we looked at what else have we looked at? We looked at Long Journey Home, another classic, Bury Me Beneath the Willow, maybe another one as well. I can't remember. We're adding stuff to that one pretty frequently too. Kind of have two separate playlists, one for songs in the bluegrass tradition and one for fiddle tunes and instrumental music in bluegrass and old time traditions as well. And I think they're kind of two categories that I keep separated in my brain, for better or for worse, because usually these singing songs have very longer rhythms. They have very simple melodies, and I have to kind of approach it with a different mindset. Otherwise, I get into this fiddle tune mindset where I just kind of like you can't really sing that melody, like how can you make this a really nice singable melody that really sounds like I Am a Pilgrim? And in that lesson we looked at a few different options, like adding in some connecting notes between these melody notes, adding in some tremolo, adding in some bluesy licks and some other notes on the G major scale. There's so many options, and it's kind of fun just to start with a framework like this and see what you can come up with. And my challenge at the end of that lesson was to see if you could take another simple melody and do something similar to that. So hopefully you guys have gotten a chance to dig into that these past few days. If not, again, check it out over on the channel. I thought maybe we could just try out some of the things that you guys have been working on here. Maybe we can just go back and forth and treat this like an instrumental tune. I won't trouble you with my singing again. I tried singing on that video and I kind of regretted it. Oh man, singing's hard, right? But it is really useful as a tool to internalize a melody away from your instrument. That's something I've been thinking about too, is that muscle memory is not everything, right? There's been so many times that my muscle memory has failed me when it comes to playing in the jam, or when I'm in a stressful situation and I'm like trying to perform a piece of music. Sometimes my muscle memory fails me, and if I can sing it, there's a better chance I'll be able to play it when all these kind of external influences and pressures are happening. So it's something about like if you know the melody, you can sing the words, it's a lot easier to find those notes on the fretboard. Even if you don't know where those notes are, it's just something about like this sixth sense of intuition where our fingers know where to play. But the words are there if you want to sing along, even if you don't know this melody. And maybe we could just start out by learning these chords here. They're really simple, right? The three probably most common chords you play on the mandolin. We have D, G, and C. Then we also have like one little variation there on the third line. If you want to play that G7, you can play it like this on the open, second fret of the A, first fret of the E string there. But you don't have to. If you want to, you can just stick to a G chord there, and it's going to sound good as well. So let's maybe check out a simple strum pattern too. In this video, we talked about kind of the boom chuck pattern, and we won't go into too much detail here. If you want to learn more about the boom chuck right hand pattern for playing chords, you can check out the lesson. Hope to do more exploration of that as well. I know Will was talking about that recently over on our Patreon Discord page. Shout out to Will if he's out here. That boom chuck pattern, alternating between the root and the fifth of the chord, is a really nice way to flesh out the accompaniment for a song, especially if you're the only accompaniment instrument, like here, when we can only hear each other separately, so to speak. So if you want to play this boom chuck pattern, all you do is you play the root of the chord on the first beat of the measure, and then you play the fifth of the chord on the third beat. So to start off with, on this D chord, our root is always going to be the letter name of the chord, so we're going to play a D note on the first fret, or sorry, the first beat of the measure, I should say. It's an open string, right? And then on the third beat, we're going to play the fifth of the chord, which is this A note that we have on the second fret of the G string. And then in between those beats, you can just do a little down up on your A and E strings. Yeah, something like that. It's something that you hear guitar players do, right? Even that root fifth motion is what bass players do oftentimes in bluegrass and old time jams too. So it's probably a familiar sound, and it's really important to play those specific notes on those beats, right? Because it doesn't sound the same if you start with the fifth. It doesn't sound bad, but it doesn't have quite the same definition that it does when you start with that root note of the chord on the beginning of the measure. So we'll do the same for the others too. Check out the G chord here. So our root is our G, our open G string, and then it's pretty easy to find the fifth. It's just our open D string as well. So G, D. And then you can just alternate with your down up on those high A and E strings in between those beats. All right, the more tricky one is the C chord though. To get a low root, we're gonna have to start off with kind of this chop chord shape right here. That's our C note on the 5th fret of the G string. And then to find our 5th, it's kind of nice to play that low 5th on the open G. So this one will have to alternate between our ring finger on the 5th fret of the G string and then our open G string. So it'll be ring, open, ring, open. And then the only other one, if you want to play that G7 chord, it's very similar to the open G, right? We're actually still playing the root and 5th the same way. So it's open G, open D. Now we've just got this F natural up top, that 1st fret on the E string. So let me just play through these chords once for you like that so you can hear what it's like and follow along. And then we'll try out the tune as well. Maybe we'll just take a spin on it together. But first we'll play through the chords and then we'll regroup and try it out together. So here it is. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have the D chord first to the G chord to the C chord back to the G. Now we have a quick G7 to the C. Back to G, D, and then back to G. Not too bad, right? It takes a little while to get accurate with the pick to make sure you're playing those specific notes on those beats, but this is a great opportunity to practice it at the jam when you keep going around this chord progression again and again, right? So this is just one time through the tune, but obviously we're going to repeat this throughout the course of the jam, and just head back to that top of the chart there as soon as we get to the bottom. Well, hopefully that's making sense. Let's catch up with you guys here. It seems like you guys are following along really well. Oh, thanks, Uncle Bobby. Appreciate you saying that about my singing. Boosts my self-esteem up a little bit more. And Peter's saying that the song was first documented in 1862, although apparently much older. Wow, that's really cool. I didn't realize it was that old. I love playing these older songs because it feels like there's such a rich history and a rich tradition behind it. So we'll just think of that while we're playing this here. But why don't we give this a spin now? I'll maybe play through some version of the melody. It may not be exactly the same as what's written here or even the more complex version that we looked at together in that video. But I'll just take a spin on this here and we'll trade back and forth. And then you guys can take a solo while I play chords and trade one-on-one like that. So let's try this out. Maybe about this tempo. 1, 2, 1. Your turn to that G chord, C, back to G, to the C, to the D chord, back to the G. Nice. Let me try this again. melody together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Nice work, folks. Yeah, lovely playing. I can hear you guys across the interwebs. Well, let's see. Uncle Bobby's saying, are you adding a few upstrokes while strumming? Yeah, great question. So in this time signature, we're in 4/4 time, which basically is just letting us know there's 4 beats in the measure. And I think about my right hand is always alternating in link to that time signature, where I'm always placing my downstrokes on those numbered beats in the measure, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then in between those strums, just by nature, I have to do an upstroke to get ready for the next downstroke on the next beat that's coming up. So down, 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 but it's also up, 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 if that makes sense. And I have the freedom to kind of choose when I apply the pick to the strings, as long as I keep my right hand alternating in time with the music itself. So the basic pattern of what's going on here, I think, is I'm doing kind of down, down, up, down, down, up on the strings, but I'm still moving my right hand in this steady down, up, down, up, down, up motion, no matter what's going on. I'm only applying the pick to the strings on the 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. But there's always room for variation. Like if I wanted to, I could do something like this, like take some upstrokes away. That's just one example there. What else could we do? We could do maybe add an extra upstroke on one of those bass notes, the root or the fifth we wanted to. And I'm not actually changing anything with my right hand as far as direction goes. I'm kind of changing maybe the location of those downs and ups just to get to the right strings, but I'm always playing this down, up, down, up, down, up motion in link with those beats, downs on those numbered beats in the measure. And once you kind of subscribe to that pattern, it becomes so freeing, because you don't have to think about pick directions anymore, and you can just think more about when you want to apply the pick to the strings, or even just leave it up to chance if you want to, and whatever happens, which is kind of cool. I'm not a big strum patterns guy, all that to say. I probably should be, but I don't really like just sticking to one pattern for the entire song. I think it's fun to change things up and keeps things engaging whenever you do that. So hopefully that's helpful, Uncle Bobby. Great question though. So yeah, Sindai77, what's up? It's good to have you here. Sort of like the boom chuck. That's right. Yeah. That's a great way to put it. That's a term that a lot of people use for guitar strumming, where you're doing the boom, which I guess is the kind of the bass note, and then the chuck, where you're kind of accenting the backbeat like you do on a mandolin chop. Boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck. That's a really reliable pattern, and something that's so prevalent throughout bluegrass and old time music. It helps to even just know how to play that on the mandolin, so you can recognize it when guitar players or bass players are doing that type of pattern. So Henry Pyle's asking, those two measures with the B flat have the same note, but have a C chord first time and the G7 next. Why does that work, and why does the B flat work on the tune in G? Yeah, great question. We didn't go too deep into it on that lesson, because I just wanted to get you guys playing more than thinking too analytically about it. But it does help to really analyze what's going on and understand how you can use this in other melodies. I think it sounds cool with that B flat first. I was actually just hearing a master class with Bela Fleck. Tabitha and I got to play with this for this Banjo Summit online workshop that they did, I guess it was last weekend, which was a lot of fun. And they had Bela Fleck come in and do a master class. And he was saying how over time he's tried to shift his perspective. Instead of trying to analyze what the outcome should be before playing it, he tries to play something, and then if he likes the way that it sounds, then he goes back and analyzes why it sounds that way so that he can use it in other songs or other solos that he's doing or whatever. And I think that philosophy is really cool. I never heard anyone say that before. But in other words, I guess instead of trying to understand all the vocabulary first and then thinking about how you can apply it, it's this try to like experiment, see what happens, and if you hear something that you like, then it's a great excuse to go in and figure out why it happens this way. So first up, I like the way that it sounds. All that to say, like the B flat over the G chord. You know, we have a G major which has a B natural. For anyone who's kind of new to the triads here, like in G major you have 3 notes. You have G, B, and D. Triad's just kind of another word for the 3 notes that you have in that chord. You know, even in this open G chord, we just have 3 separate pitches: G, B, and D. And a B flat is pretty alarming because, you know, we usually have a B natural, but now we're changing it to a B flat. When if you change that in the chord, it sounds more like a G minor. So it's like, whoa, that's weird. I thought like we'd have to stick to a major sound for this song. But what if we analyze what's going on here? This is the 3rd note of the scale here, G, A, B, kind of the 3 alphabet letters up on our musical alphabet. And whenever you lower the 3rd of a scale by a half step or by 1 fret, that's another way of saying, you know, just B to B flat there, that's what we call a flat 3rd or a lowered 3rd. And that's kind of the main important note that we use for the blues scale. It's one of the most important sounds out there. I think that's a huge sound in bluegrass. It's a huge sound in jazz and swing and blues and all that. And it's this juxtaposition of the major over minor sound, right? You have a major chord, but it's the note that you'd expect to go along with a minor chord, which gives this ambiguous bluesy sound. I think that's really what the blues is. It's kind of finding almost like an ambiguity of tonality, an ambiguity of harmony. So that's why we have this this B flat here. It happens a few times, right? It happens over the C chord as well, and it happens over the G7. And I don't know if you necessarily need to think about why it fits over all those chords, because the blues scale really works over any chords within a key, within a diatonic key. So if you know like your blues notes, like your blue notes for G major, you can use those at pretty much any time, and it's going to sound bluesy and it's going to sound interesting. I heard actually one of my favorite musicians ever is a guy named Julian Lodge. I talk about him quite a lot, and he's like one of the most imaginative guitar improvisers I've ever heard, and so expressive, so amazing at trying new things in the moment. And he said that his first guitar, when he got his first guitar, his dad taught him the blues scale first. Didn't teach him a song at all, just taught him the blues scale because his dad knew that you could combine any notes together in that blues scale and improvise new melodies, and it's going to sound good pretty much over any chord within a key. So automatically he's kind of given Julian from the beginning of his guitar experience this open-ended possibilities. Like you can do whatever you want to in music if you know the right vocabulary. And that's true. You know, like blues scale is really helpful. It is just one sound, and you don't want to use it too much, but it is a fun place to start to try new things. If anyone's new to the blues scale or to the blue notes, there's basically 3 notes that we want to consider. The blues scale uses the flat 3rd, which is in the key of G, it's B flat. 1, 2, 3. And then we also have the possibility of a flat 5th. If you think about the 5th note on the G major scale, which would be D, that D flat works pretty well as well. You know, it's a very tense kind of sound, but it works pretty well. That might be the least common out of the blue notes, but there's one more here. It's the flat 7 of your scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here, this F natural, which is a note that I was trying to use a little bit in my solos. That's another really good blue note that you can use. So a lot of people refer to the blue notes as the flat 3rd, the flat 5, and the flat 7. And when you're playing in a major key like this, you can pretty much use those over any chords, and it's going to sound bluesy, and it's going to get that blue color that you want to make your solo sound a little bit more interesting. So try that out. You know, like maybe take another tune and see if you can find those blue notes, or for another key, if you want to find those blue notes, the flat 3rd of the scale, the flat 5th of the scale, and the flat 7. And sometimes in bluegrass, you'll hear these kind of variations of the blues scale where you won't always play the flat 3rd, or you won't always play the flat 5th or the flat 7. It just depends on the melody. Sometimes you'll hear bluegrass looks like this. That's a lick that we looked at the end of this I Am a Pilgrim lesson for the more complex melody. And we go from the B flat to the B natural. So we're starting out on a blue note, then going to a note that fits with the G major scale. And that's a really common bluegrass sound. It's like something that you hear Bill Monroe do quite a lot, where it's toggling between the flat third and the natural third. You don't hear that quite as much. You don't really toggle on the flat 7 to the normal 7. You might do it with the flat 5th. Like there's this really common banjo lick you might have heard, like it's like kind of the beginning of that tune, Foggy Mountain Breakdown, right? The most popular bluegrass instrumental tune of all time. So yeah, toggling from the flat 5 to the natural 5 is kind of an interesting to do there. Oh, apologies. There might be like a little bit of an interruption in the stream there. I think we'll be all right though if we just power through here. Apologies for that. But yeah, there's a little exploration of the blues scale for you guys, and I think we'll be using that in a lot of stuff coming up. I've got keep talking about there's this scale series that I'm planning to do for the site sometime in the next month or two, hopefully. Got a couple of big projects on the docket here, so stay tuned. Oh, by the way, if you want transcriptions for this tune and all the other tunes we've looked at here on YouTube, you can find it over on Patreon. There's a link in the description below. Shout out to all you patrons too for hanging out here. Check it out if you're interested. And there's more lessons coming on the site, more lessons coming on YouTube soon. So, all right. Well, let's check out a couple things. There's been some news in the mandolin world I wanted to visit before we got too far down the stream here. Check this out. So first up, we mentioned this. We've got this I'm a Pilgrim lesson. If you want, there's like the backing tracks as well here on the Patreon site where you can play along with some of those excerpts that we had throughout the lesson video. But also, I was really happy to put this transcription book together. Just put this out like a couple days ago for some of the top tiers over on Patreon, and it's just a mandolin transcription book of all the solos that I took on this Foreign Landers EP, and I've been really happy to have this EP out. It came out, I guess, a little over a week ago, and it's just a collection of tunes that Tabitha and I have been working on over lockdown. Really cool lino cut artwork from a friend of ours over in the UK. He actually gave us this design. We now have t-shirts as well. Just a little shameless plug here. If anyone's interested in showing some Foreign Landers cred, there's a link in the description below as well, and you can check out the transcriptions over on Patreon too if you're interested. But there's been some bigger news out on the Mandolin Cafe. I thought we'd check this out. Kind of interesting stuff. There's been a couple really interesting articles here. I don't know if you guys saw this. It came out, I guess, about 4 days ago. But yes, the idea of mandolins are in short supply right now because of the pandemic. Everyone's been picking up the mandolin at home just with all the free time that we've had going on. And this is an article that kind of interviews a lot of really important mandolin instrument shops that supply instruments for folks around the country, around the world. And just like the heading here is so interesting. 15 months into the COVID-19 pandemic, the retail stringed instrument market is in uncharted waters. Inventory is markedly down. A sizable increase in first-time buyers flooded the market last year and continues as almost every retailer notes. Many manufacturers have been unable to keep pace with the demand while experiencing their own operational challenges. They talked to the Music Emporium, the Denver Folklore Center, Morgan Music, and the Mandolin Store, of course, Elderly Instruments, Carter Vintage, Fiddler's Green Music Shop. So some of the big ones out there for sure. Really interesting to hear the thoughts on what's going on. It's kind of a good place to be. It's kind of a good place to be, honestly. It's a good problem to have that people aren't being able to find mandolins because everyone wants a mandolin. There's more people getting into this instrument, which I'm a big fan of. The more, the merrier. But yeah, hopefully there'll be some more beginner level priced instruments coming in soon. But there's been another article too that was really interesting. Maybe you guys saw this too, but Weber has announced a pause in mandolin manufacturing. Weber has been like one of the main like kind of mid-level mandolin luthiers in I guess the past 30-40 years now. It's pretty amazing. But yeah, this is kind of a shock. This was just released today actually, and so let's see, just kind of keep getting it up to pace with you guys here. Maybe I'll read this out loud. Two Old Hippies president and CEO Tom Bedell has announced a temporary transition of the Weber mandolin luthier team to the guitar side of the company's manufacturing operations, effective with the completion of instruments already in production. As those instruments are completed and shipped, the team previously dedicated solely to Weber mandolins will temporarily transition to the guitar side of the Two Old Hippies brands, housed in the same facility. Yeah, kind of interesting. They say, since we can only build one mandolin for every 4 guitars we craft, we've decided to focus on guitars for the next year. This will help us get more instruments to more dealers and players. We've contacted all our Weber dealers, and they are aware of the situation. And in cases where they also sell our Bedell and Breedlove guitars, we have found agreement and support. This is we sold more Weber mandolins in the past year than we ever and had already halted 2021 orders sometime back. Unprecedented for us this year and the year. We're committed to reevaluating where we're at on a monthly basis. Once we're confident on guitar retailers are receiving the inventory they need, we'll transition our mandolin team back to the Weber brand. But yeah, kind of interesting. I don't know. Hopefully they'll start back soon because of just the big drop on stock right now for mandolins. So I think we need more mandolin builders coming out with more instruments here. But yeah, hopefully something will happen soon. But yeah, interesting news in the mandolin world. If there's any mandolin luthiers out there wanting to get a start, this is probably a good time to start getting some mandolins out there. But anyways, let's see how you guys are doing here. Let's catch up. So Clifton's already read this. Oh, you're ahead of the game, man. Yeah, I hope Weber will start coming back. Of course, like there's great mandolin luthiers out there. If anyone's looking for mandolins, I always recommend Northfield. They're a great company that's got some awesome products and really awesome folks as well that seem to be on Team Mandolin and want to build the community around the instrument. I've been playing this Oliver Apitius mandolin for a while now. I really love it. Oliver is just a private builder up in Canada. I think he's currently kind of up to his top order count right now, so I don't think he's taking new orders. But yeah, there's some other good ones out there as well, like Eastman, Clifton, San. Yeah, they're kind of a reliable beginner company. I've played a couple lures that are pretty good. Not the Gibson Lloyd lures, but there's another company that is making mandolins under the lure name that are more modern and more affordable. There's an interesting video of Wayne Benson recently kind of unboxing a $75 mandolin from Amazon, and in his hands the mandolin sounded pretty good. You know, I guess you gotta have some knowledgeable hands to make it sound good and to make sure it's all tuned up and has the right setup and all that stuff. Yeah, Jeffrey, if you're interested, this is a Canadian mandolin by a builder named Oliver Apitius, and it's like Apitius. I can't even spell it. Oliver's an amazing builder, and he's been around for, I can't think, like 40 years in the business, which is amazing. He makes some incredible instruments. So hopefully, yeah, he'll be opening up his order list again sometime soon. I really like the way this mandolin sounds. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. Well, enough about mandolin builders. Let's get back to playing mandolins here. That's why we're all here, right? I'll maybe check out another tune together. So, if you're interested, there's a big content list over on Patreon for all you patrons who are already on the site. You can go there and see like what other tunes we have available here on the site. If you guys have any requests for stuff that we've done already and stuff that we have transcriptions for to look at together, let me know and we can see if we can make that happen. But let's see, I'll just pick another one kind of blind here if you guys are all right with that. Maybe we could check out this one here. Let's see, I'll scroll down so you can see the title. This is a great tune by a more modern old-time fiddler named Gary Harrison, and this one's become quite a classic. Why don't we maybe check this one out? There's 4 chords that we have in this tune. It's in the key of A. A really nice open A chord is this 2-2 open shape. We have our D chord, right? Remember from I'm a Pilgrim. Then we have our E chord. I like this E shape right here where it's 4-2-2 open. And then lastly, on the B section here, we have an F sharp minor. If you've never played that one before, this is the shape I always recommend. It's 6-4 open 2. 6 on the G string, 4 on the D string, open A, 2nd fret on the E string there. Really nice one. So why don't we try those shapes out? If you want to find the root and the 5th for all those chords as well, you can keep doing that boom chuck pattern where you're doing like root 5th, root 5th. On the D chord, you already know that one. It's D, A. Same for the E chord, it's like E on the D string, B on the G string, root 5th. And then for the F sharp minor, very similar. It's F sharp on the D string, C sharp on the G string. It's a great chance to kind of try out that pattern a bit more in a new key. And eventually you kind of just get used to these shapes and where the root and the 5th are, and you kind of just gravitate to those notes automatically. But try feeling that out as we play through this tune here. Why don't we go back and forth a few times and take some spins on this melody here. Again, you can find the transcription for this one over on Patreon. We got a little lesson too where I show you how to play this same melody up the neck. I don't know if I feel up for it right now. I don't know if I can do it. How do you? Maybe I'll try it out. I'll see. I'll get it back in my fingers now. Here we go. Let's try this out together. Here we go. So we have A, D, A, quick E, A, D, A, D, A. A lot of chords I know. So it's F sharp, D, A, E, F sharp, D, A. All right, I go. take another go just for fun. Here we go. Have another one yourself. Let's try it together. Awesome playing, folks. Hey, Chris Quayle, what is up, man? It's so good to hear from you. I hope you guys are doing well. Say hey to Teo for me if he's there. I'd love to pick some tunes with you guys sometime soon. Yeah, been hearing great things from Crying Uncle, man. Keep up the great work. Anyways, let's check out maybe another tune while we're here as well. Let's see. I'll scroll through here, pick us another one. One that we haven't really looked at on the site yet. I know we're going to get to this one yet. I don't have the transcription available on Patreon for this one, but I'll give you a little sneak peek at one we might look at in the near future. Here's like a really basic version of a classic, right? You guys might know this one. This was like, I know a lot of people's first fiddle tune that they ever learned on the mandolin, and it took me kind of a while to catch up on this one, but there's some great versions out there. This one too. Just listen to the Doc and Dog version of this one. You guys know that record, right? David Grisman and Doc Watson, they did a duo album, and I think they did a live album together as well. Yes, David's playing on this tune is so good. So nice. Well, maybe we could try this one out together as well. This is another two-part fiddle tune. Here we're in the key of D, so we've done G and A so far. This is the other most common key that we have on the mandolin, D major, right? You guys know all these chords here. It's just D, G, and A. There's quite a lot of chords on the B section in particular to watch out for, but otherwise it's pretty straightforward. But this is one of those simple melodies that you can really fill in with some extra notes if you wanted to, kind of like what we're talking about for I Am a Pilgrim. In some ways, I like those simple melodies a little bit better just because it gives you more room to express yourself or to try new things without worrying about losing the plot of the melody. So here we just have like a really basic version of Soldier's Joy, like. But what you can do is fill in like the notes with some arpeggios like folks do. I know David Grisman does this where it's like a. Something like that. It's a nice way of keeping the same contour of the melody and you're playing notes that fit within the chord, right? Your D major arpeggios. Just your A, your F sharp on the 4th fret, and your open D string. Maybe walking down to the E note there. And that's kind of another common variation on the turnaround phrase there at the end of the A section. People do it for the B section too. So I'm sure you guys know this one though. It's just fun to kind of explore some different variations. Also, I love doing different octaves of melodies too. You can probably tell that from some of my lesson videos. But the B section, you know, instead of playing it on the A and the E strings, you can play on the G and the D string. Another idea for some variation. It might be hard to do that with the A section, but maybe you can do it up an octave or kind of up in a different position, like a. I think I actually heard David do that on that Doc and Dog recording as well, so that might be kind of fun as well. Yeah, Tim Bellamy saying another cool challenge is trying to play harmony with your playing. Yeah, that's something I wish I was more confident at doing. I did a little lesson, a bonus lesson on this over on Patreon. I don't think it's available on YouTube, but we took the simple tune, The Girl I Left Behind, and tried to write a harmony for it. And I don't have the gift of being able to do it quite as much on the fly. It kind of takes me a little while to think about it and think about what note would sound good over the melody note. But kind of the basic idea is you're trying to pick a note that's either a third or a sixth above the melody for the most part. And then whenever you're landing on a big rhythm, you're trying to pick a chord tone that fits with the chord that you're playing over. But that's a lot to process in the moment. You know, you can kind of just take a stab at it and see what happens, but oftentimes it can result in disaster. And it's something that that John Hartford used to call country counterpoint. I love that phrase. It's like, you know, you're trying to play harmony, but it's just kind of more of a different melody on top of that melody, and that's a really cool sound sometimes too. But yeah, just got to be really really careful with it too. I'm also scared about like kind of distracting from the jam too. If I play a bad harmony, it might take away from the melody, or might take away from other people's experience, or I might get lost and, you know, throw other people off and stuff like that. So you know, I know I shouldn't be like and let that stop me from doing stuff, but in some ways I want to add to the music more than I want to take away from it too. So I'll do it if I've worked out like a harmony to another tune. Like I feel comfortable doing it on like Whiskey Before Breakfast. You know, you can do something a third higher, like if I can do it. Like that, yeah. Kind of weird hearing it without the actual melody by there, but that's something that's fun to try out in situations like this. You know, like you have the freedom on your end of the screen to try out harmonies to melodies. So if you're feeling a harmony part on Soldier's Joy, then by all means go for it. I'll stick to the melody for now. Maybe we'll just play through this a few times back and forth like we did with Red Prairie Dawn there. Here we go. We're in the key of D here. I'll start us off with some potatoes. Here we go. A long D chord here to an A. Quick turnaround D, A, B. Now we have a G chord on the B section, A chord, D, G, and then that quick turnaround again. D, G, D, A, D, G, B. All right, my go. All right, you go again. All right, let's play this together. Beautiful playing, folks. Soldier's Joy for you guys. Awesome, awesome. Well, thanks so much for playing with us this morning. I think that wraps it up for tune time this week. Let's come over and catch up with how you guys are doing. Awesome. Well, oh man, thanks so much for tuning in from Dublin, Ireland. Really appreciate that. We were just there like a few weeks ago. It's kind of hard to believe. We were visiting Tabitha's folks in Northern Ireland, and it's always great to meet someone from the Emerald Isle. Hopefully we'll be back there before too long. I think Tabitha's got some shows with her other bands. She's got a couple bands in the UK, Midnight Sky Racer and Cup of Joe, and they've got some gigs booked for the fall that I think are looking like they're going to go ahead. So we'll probably be bouncing back and forth a few times across the Atlantic this year if all goes to plan, but we'll see how it happens. Well, I think that about wraps it up for our stream this week. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope it was fun getting to play these tunes and think more about what's going on behind these melodies. Lots more coming up soon. We've got a new video lesson coming up hopefully on Tuesday or Wednesday where we'll be looking at that classic Angeline the Baker, so stay tuned for that one. We're looking at some more ideas on how to make a simple melody more complex, which I think is a really fun thing to do in bluegrass and old-time music. And then beyond that, got a big beginner lesson series in the works that I'm excited to be talking about more soon. Don't have anything on the books just yet, but hopefully in the next few weeks you'll be seeing some videos coming from that series, and it'll be kind of a complete beginner's approach to mandolin, where even if you've never picked up the mandolin before, we can show you the basics and get you playing a bunch of tunes that will get you ready for that jam once things start picking back up in person. I'm really looking forward to that. Hopefully as the year winds on, we'll be able to get to meet together in person at a festival or at a show sometime soon and get to play some tunes in person where we can hear each other. It's so great to see you guys. Thanks again for tuning in, and be sure to check out all the stuff going on Patreon. There's a link in the description below. Thanks again to all you patrons for tuning in this morning. And we'll be back next week as well. If you want to have some more virtual tunes, come stop by here on YouTube at 11 a.m. Eastern time every Saturday. So thanks to you guys so much. I'll see you guys soon. Until then, happy picking.